Welcome everyone to Trend Talks Life. I am your host, Erin Tomie, and today we're talking to Trend Micro Incident Response Coordinator, John Wilson. John, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for inviting me here today.
You are very welcome. I'm very happy to have you. I would love to just start with you sharing a bit about your role here at Trend Micro.
I'm part of the incident response team at Trend Micro. When a significant cyber attack happens, we're the ones that you're going to call. Our job is to quickly analyze the situation, figure out how the attackers got in, stop the damage from spreading, and help the affected company get everything back to normal. It's really fast-paced and challenging, but incredibly rewarding to help organizations recover from those serious cyber incidents.
I bet. And I would love to really dive into the details as much as we can when it comes to incident response to help us fully understand when and why your team gets involved. Can you tell us or give us an overview of a recent incident response scenario handled by Trend IR and the strategies or techniques used to resolve the problem?
Absolutely. We were recently called in by a mid-sized healthcare provider. They've been hit by a ransomware attack that encrypted their patient records. Our first priority was to isolate the infected systems to stop the ransomware from spreading. And once things were contained, we dug into how the attackers infiltrated their network. Turns out it was a phishing email that tricked an employee. Uh, we helped the client restore their data from backups and work with them to improve their email security and their overall solutions security postures, and also provided them some assistance with employee awareness training as well too. And in a ransomware scenario, time is of the essence. So it's about acting fast and also methodically getting things back on track.
I think often when people outside our industry hear about ransomware attacks or breaches, they probably come up with some very convoluted, complicated strategy in their head about how these things happen. How often are you seeing scenarios where it started from something as simple as an email?
It's very common. It's one of those things that it often proves that the human element, even with all this advanced security, is going to be the weakest link. It happens way more often than we'd like to see it, but it's just the reality of the industry, what's going on. Uh, we see these type of threats always evolving, and the human element is one that the threat actors often can depend on, uh, whether it's through phishing emails or whatever they can get their hands on.
We touched a little bit on things that you're seeing quite often, like phishing emails. Across all of the scenarios you've seen during your time in this role, have you noticed any other themes? Is there common industries, company sizes, or any other threats that or techniques that come up quite often?
Yeah, I'd say small to mid-size businesses are often targeted, uh, mostly because they don't tend to have the security teams necessary. It's often just a single point of contact. So they're able to obfuscate or just kind of weave in there unnoticed because there isn't enough eyes threat hunting and keeping an eye on their environment. So it's easier for them to operate.
Bonus question here at the end. What are some strategies or processes that companies can have to avoid having to involve your team as long as they can? How can they make sure that they stay as safe as possible and avoid needing incident response teams to help them out?
We should definitely be more aware of leveraging best practice. There's a lot of companies that, and they have production, and when you turn up uh, the policy settings to something more aggressive, you're going to deal with false positives, and there can be production outages. But the going through that entire process of whitelisting, creating precise exceptions, and working with our backend teams to make sure that we whitelist certain files, can be a lengthy process, but it's something that is necessary because those next generation protections more often than not are turned off. Whether it's predictive machine learning or behavior monitoring, and that can prove to present a serious gap in their protection security posture. So for us to be able to effectively report and assist our customers and show them that our solutions are working, we have to partner up with them to get that done, because often they're just turned off, and that's why these customers get breached sometimes.
Yeah, I think it really speaks to having a really strong partnership with your cybersecurity vendor and making sure that you're making the most of every product or solution that you are using. Even if it might take a bit more effort than you'd probably like to make sure everything is set up exactly the way it needs to be, I'm sure from your side, you would always say that it is worth it.
Absolutely. I've seen it too much. So yeah, every opportunity that we get, and I think that's what the majority of my workday is just being that connective tissue and working with all the different teams, whether it's the account teams or our actual support operations. We're kind of making sure that everybody understands what's out there in the wild, what's happening right now, or what's happening to a specific person's account. Yeah. And we want to make sure that we get the word out and we support them as well too.
John, I really appreciate you joining me here on Trend Talks Life today and chatting about all things incident response at Trend Micro. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you so much for having me, Erin. I appreciate it. Thanks, everyone.